to the greatest kindest video.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jenny Hall. Thanks for joining me for another card making tutorial. Today I'd like to share a card that I created with some new products from the 2018 Occasions catalog. Amazing You stamp set and Celebrate You thinlits are celebration items. You can earn them for free. Visit my online store to find out more information. Today the technique I'm using is no line watercoloring, but not with watercolors. Instead, with Stampin Blends alcohol markers. I'm going to use some reddish pink coral tones for the overall look of the finished product. So I'm stamping in a light pink dye-based ink that will not really show through. It's like the no-line watercoloring, but it's not going to be a black outline for my finished flowers. I've started out with some light colors and I'm working my way into the darker colors, and then I'll be adding some highlights to give definition in the end. The way that I like to do this is to imagine that the ink that sits inside the paper can be pushed around like sweeping a broom to a floor. So if there is a particular color that I would like to add to the outside of the flower petals, then I have to take and push and like sweep that color with the tip of the marker. I like to use the bullet end instead of the long brush end because I can get more pushing action. The nib actually pushes the color easier, and I don't want to damage that brush section. After I've gotten some of the colors worked down into the image, I'm going to add with my regular basic black marker a little bit of black highlights around the center of the flower. The white tipped marker is called a color lifter, and it's filled with clear fluid, and that will help to wick away and push some of the fluid in from the area that it touches to another area. When you can turn your paper over and see that you've saturated the image, you know you're doing something right. The white chalk marker from Stampin' Up! Is a very easy way to add definition to the images that I'm working on. So by touching the very end petals, and while that chalk marker is still wet, I take a finger and push it inwards to kind of get a feathering look. That is one way that I can give some definition with a white part of the flower, maybe just the end of the petals. I'm fussy cutting just the flower section away from the stamped image because I'll be featuring those in a trio of flowers on the card front. So I'm using the same stamp that I used for the other two images, and I'm adding that to the card front. That way I can choose to take and replace that flower with one of my colored images, or I can take and color the image that is actually on the paper and have a trio of images. I'm enhancing the stamped leaves by using the same color of Stampin' Blends marker, and you could actually add even more leaves with these if you choose. I'm using that same black marker that I used earlier to create some highlights in the stamped image, or I guess you could call these lowlights in the stamped image, but it's more definition that I'm after. The Celebrate You thinlits are so cool. You guys are really gonna love working with them. I've die cut 3 from black paper, and I'm using a fine tip glue pen just on the wider areas to stack the 3 up together. This is going to help me to really make it stable and stand up away from the front of the card. I used an emery board there, as you saw, to make sure that I get a nice good cut on those and any loose fibers. An emery board's really great. On the opposite side of the stamped image, I wanted another one of those little black sprigs, so I drew it in with the marker. Easy peasy. I'm going to attach this down to a panel of Flirty Flamingo cardstock. There is not a Flirty Flamingo marker, but I felt like this playful pink color would work really nicely with the colors that I'm using in the overall project. Organza ribbon is going to be a nice accent to keep this a clean and simple card, so I used some glue dots to attach the organza ribbon strip to the back of the card front. I ended up adding color to that extra flower bloom, and I'm going to use some mini glue dots to hold one flower in place, and then I'll use some Stampin' Dimensionals to raise the other one up. The trio of flowers looked better to me than just having 2 flowers, and it was enough to allow me to put the flowers a little farther up and make room on the bottom of the card for the large word die cut. I really like this die, and I think it's going to be very popular. This is a celebration item. There's 3 different word dies in the package. So I'm adding a few extra leaves just to the other side, really tiny leaves, and then I'll add a pre-tied bow to the other side of the flowers. For the inside of the card, I'm using that same green color, and I'm going to just make it very simple and echo the design on the front of the card. Thank you so much for joining me for this video tutorial. It's part of the Creating Kindness Design Team blog hop. Be sure to click Show More in the video description and go to all of the team members' links. We're all making products with the same celebrate is the theme, and so it's really exciting. Thank you so much again for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.